And seeing that we sung Father Abraham, I thought I'd deal with some of his kids, his descendants. The story of Joseph. We know the story of Joseph. Most of us know it well. You have Jacob, who is running from his brother. He did a deed. Esau is going to kill him. He doesn't have forgiveness in his heart. So Jacob runs and he sees one of his cousins. Back then it was all right to marry a cousin. And he saw the one he wanted. They seemed to like each other. The father-in-law said, hey, you can work 7 years since you have no money. And Jacob was like, that's nothing. I'll do 7 years. He does 7 years. Wedding night, oh, you are not the one I'm supposed to marry. Big veil. And so the older sister is there. And so he has to marry 2 sisters. And so all during this time, Jacob loves Rachel more than Leah. They have a battle of kids. Who has the most babies? Who's going to get Jacob's love? Along comes Rachel, and she can't have kids, so she gives him her maid. Leah stops having kids, she gives him the maid. Poor ladies. Rachel finally has a kid. That's Joseph, the firstborn, the fruit of his loins. Benjamin, he comes, Rachel dies. So Benjamin, he's loved, but Joseph is loved. And so Joseph is a regular guy. He wants to do us right. It seems like Jacob is investing in him to be the firstborn. And so if between the brothers there's a span of about 13 years, except for Benjamin. So before Jacob leaves, he gets married and they start having babies. The oldest is 13 years older than Joseph. So you've got kids in this long string right here. So they're kind of close in age. But imagine a 30-year-old man and a 17-year-old kid, and the father says the 17-year-old kid is taking your firstborn spot. So the brothers weren't too happy about this. They beat Joseph up, because he has some dreams in addition to favoritism. Joseph has done nothing wrong. Some people say Joseph was a brat. He was spoiled. But Joseph had a good character even back then, but he hadn't owned his relationship with God. And so Joseph is made fun of. He's ostracized by his brothers. He gets beat up, and they really want to kill him, but they throw him into a pit. Joseph leaves everything. He is taken away, I should say, from everything he has known, everything that has been comfort to him. He is sold into slavery. Somebody who has been a prince among his people is sold into slavery by his brothers. Did y'all get that? It's a familiar story. So if your brother or sister sold you to the mafia, that's something pretty deep. Your own family sold you out. So Joseph goes to Egypt. Somehow he doesn't lose it. He begins praying, and he's become successful, and then his boss's wife tries to seduce him, and he gets thrown in jail. Now I've got issues to work out with God. On top of that, he gets put in prison. God gives him a gift to interpret dreams. He shares his dream with Pharaoh's servant, and he says to the one who has a good outcome, he says, hey, remember me, and he forgets him. Some issues to work out. Joseph somehow makes it through this experience, this 13 years that he's in this experience, before God elevates him to status. Joseph is now about 30 years old. He has gone through these trials, he's gone through these difficulties, and now he is put in a position of pretty much running the country. Along comes his brothers after prosperity has set in. He's 37. This thing happened 20 years ago. And so Joseph has not only been betrayed by his brothers, he has not only been lied on and had his career ended at Potiphar's house, he's not only been thrown in jail, but his jailmates sell him out. And now he's in a position of power and authority, and now his brothers come needing some help.
Mercy.
Joseph has some things to work through. He has some issues to deal with. And so Joseph is presented with an opportunity to crush his brothers, to get revenge, to make sure that they pay for what they did to him. He has the opportunity now. Nobody will miss 10 Hebrew men. But Joseph somehow in the midst of his adversity begins to process something. And so he sees his brothers and he wonders if they've changed. And so he puts them through a test, and after they pass the test, he welcomes them back and he says, I'm your brother, my father's alive. They're all happy. End of story, right? Well, eventually Jacob dies. And here I want you to turn with me to Genesis chapter 50. Genesis chapter 50, beginning with verse 15. Joseph may be nearing 100 by this time. I'm not sure how old Joseph is at this time. Maybe he's in his 60s or 70s or 80s. But Joseph is an older man. Jacob has gotten time to enjoy his grandchildren and his grandchildren's kids, so he's got to see a lot. But here is where Joseph has come to. Genesis chapter 50, verse 15. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, perhaps Joseph will hate us. Somebody say hate us.
Hate us.
And may actually repay us for all the evil which we did to him. So they sent messengers to Joseph saying, before your father died, he commanded, saying, thus shall you say to Joseph, I beg you, please forgive the trespass of your brothers, their sin, for they did evil to you. Now please forgive the trespass of your servants, of the God of your father. And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. I don't know if you guys saw what happened. Genesis 50, verses 15 through 17 is what we read. Genesis 50, 15. The interesting part of this story, I wonder if anybody caught what just happened. They asked for forgiveness. They were scared, but what happened? They lied. They lied. Joseph's brothers tell him, Daddy said you gotta, please forgive us. In their minds, Joseph is holding on for Daddy to die to get revenge. Joseph wants Daddy to be happy. Joseph wants Daddy to be okay. He's reunited with his family. It's all good now, but Daddy dies, so we might just be in trouble. I think they had a good point. If true forgiveness had not taken place, Joseph would have gotten them back. Esau was waiting for Daddy to die, Daddy Isaac to die, to get back at Jacob. He was waiting for Jacob to come back. That's why he's meeting him with 400 men. So they think about their history and say, Joseph may have taken notes from Uncle Esau. Joseph may have been plotting this whole time. So let us tell him that Daddy said. They still haven't quite given up deception. The question is, how is it? Because Joseph says something. What is the secret to Joseph being able to get over what they did to him? I know I shared in Bible study the other week that it took me the longest to forgive some youth who at a youth federation decided to corner my brother, myself, and my friends and punk us. They decided to corner me, the youngest, talking about his mama. I told him I didn't know his mama. But it took me the longest to get over that anger. It took me the longest to get over that anger. Joseph has has been through, he's become successful, but how many people know that you still remember what people did to you? And the part that we must come to and arrive at is the point that Joseph comes at. We must internalize what he says next. Even, I'm sure he knew, God had given him the gift of discernment and dreams and visions. I'm sure he knew his brothers were lying. And that's probably why Joseph weeps. That's probably one of the reasons. Here's what he says in verse 18. Then after they sent the messengers, his brothers come. Then the brothers also went and fell down before his face, and they said, Behold, we are your servants. Joseph said to them, Do not be afraid, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, you meant evil against me. But God meant it for good, in order to bring it to pass as it is this day, to save many people alive. Now therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Somebody say what? What did he say?
Yeah.
What? I don't understand that. Joseph says to them, do not be afraid. You better be afraid. Joseph says to them, do not be afraid. For what you meant for evil, God meant it for good. He didn't even say my good. He said he meant it for good to save many people alive, including you. Joseph has come to the point where he understands that his purpose in life is not for self-preservation. He's come to understand that his purpose in life is to serve God.